recently we had a discussion with a group of men that we usually meet, and we were talking about the statistics of children who remain committed to a Christian life without having fathers. We were seeing 72%, that's the statistic. 72% of children who see both parents in church remain in church. 55% of children who see their fathers in church remain in church. 15% of those who see their mother in church remain in church.
Why is that? First of all, the experience, it made me resent my dad. It made me resent him. I remember at some point he wanted to vie for member of parliament in his village, the first wife. That's Keumbu, and at some point I was pushed inside me to go to the media and talk badly about him, but I didn't, thank God. I resented him, which was really, it's like at some point I even went and asked him in front of his employees, are you really my father? Because I felt like maybe I'm forcing myself. Labda tulikuja na madhe. I asked him, are you really my father? And
what did he say?
That time he had called for a meeting, by the way, that ninamsumbua na school fees. So he wants to talk to my mother and my brothers. So he called a meeting in his office, and we all went, and he talked, and then in the midst of it I just asked, are you really my father? And of course ilileta kelele, ona maneno yenye umefunza msichana yako sijui nini and all that. But anyway, so we became good friends, by the way, with my dad later on. After that, after high school and all that. I think I just came to understand that some things are done out of lack of understanding. Some things are done out of bitterness and anger. But all in all, these are lessons we learn, and we pick them and carry them to our next level.
How did you get that resentment out? How did it?
I think also my relationship with God has really helped a lot, because I've learned to forgive so much, to forgive, because sometimes I look at my own life and I would say, if I was not forgiven, the things that I know I've done. There are things that you know I've done. There are things that I know I've done. So forgive. And it took me time. It's been a journey. And so I asked my dad if he's my father and he's angry and all that. And then, of course, it didn't go well, especially for my mother. It made things worse.
Principle enables you to
go
through.
Now, I was coming to talk about the good people. I say these are angels sent by God to just step in and cover. And
most people are good. I remember that's the title of the song by Luke Shaw. Most people are good.
Most people are good.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs. Nice. I've come to believe that.
So my principal decides to join hands with my neighbor. They used to go to the same church, Catholic. And in school we had started, we were being taken to Catholic on Sundays in town. So they made me, I started doing those readings, the ones you read huko mbele. And I started reading Somo la Kwanza hizo. So me, I didn't know I was being introduced so that I can be assisted. And my neighbor was Catholic too. And they sat and decided they are going to do a fundraiser for me.
Wow.
Yeah, in the church. Remember, my mom is a Protestant. My dad is an SDA. But Catholic is the one
that came through at that particular time. So they organized a fundraiser. I remember going around our town with a proforma. You remember a proforma? Ile ya kujaza that thing ya kujaza pesa maze. I used to go in town with a We used to do it for freedom from hunger walk.
Mr. Abuga, if you're watching, and Mama Chemu, I'd say thank you so much for what you did for me. And so that's how my school fees was paid. And it was cleared all the way to Form 4. Oh. That is before I even finished high school. And I cleared high school, and of course in between there were challenges. It was not just school fees, there were shopping issues and all that. There was guidance, counseling and all that is supposed to be done by parents. And of course it wasn't there. I relied on my friends most of the time for my personal life. For instance, I had challenges with my personal items. Things like getting sanitary pads was an issue. In school I was better. I preferred being in school than being at home, because in school I could get it from my friends. Sometimes, yes, I could borrow. And sometimes I had a boyfriend in Form 4. This boyfriend played a very big role. And he used to shop for himself, because when I was in Form 3, he was in Form 4. He used to shop for himself, and then he comes and gawas his stuff for me, because he understood.
Nice.
Yeah. So it
man.
helps. Yeah, good man.
You'll tell us one of these days where you...
I don't know where he is. So and now this friend of mine, the daughter of my neighbor, was really helpful, because she could share, she could buy whatever money she gets small. She does shopping for me, she visits me. I was never visited in school. I don't remember anyone visiting me in school. And when those, you fear being visited because they will come with nothing. And then you'll be a laughing stock in school. And in my school, that school was it was sort of an international school, because it was private. We used to have a lot of Tanzanians, yes, Sudanese and Ethiopians. I don't know how they ended up in that school. But I think I think the school had been sold so well outside. And they were rich kids.
Wow.
Yeah, they were rich kids. So they used to wonder why over midterm I am not going home. I stay in school, and they're like, twende nyumbani tukale, mbona unakaa shuleni? And I'm like, there's nothing to eat in our home. And of course siwezi waambia hivyo. So me, I preferred staying in school. And school for me was better, because at home was chaos. There wasn't physical fighting, because my dad was never there. But the fact that mom is disoriented, my bro is lost in his own world, and I was sort of alone.
The other bro?
The other bro was way older. And he had already, he had finished high school way before us. And he had settled down in marriage in the village. Yeah.
And he also wasn't helping?
He couldn't help much, because even him, he was still struggling with his life and young family and all that. Yeah. There was a challenge in school too, because the teachers, there was poor management, so the teachers were not being paid well. So they kept moving away. The change kept interrupting us. And we cleared high school without teachers.
Wow.
It's like tulikuwa tunajisomesha literally. Kama unataka kusoma utasoma, but most of the kids in that school used to party. They used to go sato wameepa.
If I was in that school, I would have been lost.
Yeah, so they used to party. You hear people have gone, they went drinking, they went to do what, and it's a mixed school. Yeah. So by God's grace, I cleared high school, and then managed to get an average grade. And so that's my life in both primary and high school. It was a traumatizing life, and what I've learned from it is that persistence. Persistence, because if I wasn't persistent, and if I didn't want this education thing, I would have probably dropped out. You would have dropped out at class 6. Not even class 6, because someone came in before me, realizing that there's a big issue. In Form 2 is where I would have dropped out kabisa. But by God's grace I managed, and then I wouldn't want to talk about my life after that before you tell me about your high school life and primary school. And I want to hear the difference between you and me.
I think that has been, I know this story more than people, and one of the things that has always really inspired me about your story, especially that early story, you were, as a young child, so persistent, so disciplined, because my story is the exact opposite. I had a quote unquote perfect childhood. Like my father was there, my mother was there, so involved in our lives. Like I'm one of those kids who, the first time I was sent home for school fees, I was really happy. because from kindergarten, from nursery school to about class 6 there, I think my dad was doing very well. And I think he would pay our school fees in January. He'd come to school, clear the school fees for the year.
Wow.
For the 3 of us, and so guys who used to be sent home for school fees, and I'm wondering why I'm being left. Guys are going out there to have fun, and I'm being left in class. Okay, so let me just begin. As you can tell, nursery school, primary school, there was no drama in my life. I went to one school. By there I went to one nursery school, one primary school, one high school.
What?
Yes. Yes. So I was born, I've been born and bred, all my life has been in Nakuru. And yeah, Elimu Nursery School, shout out to everyone who has gone through Elimu. Elimu Nursery School, then Harambe Khalsa Primary. All my schools were good. And I remember there are 3 buddies of mine that we started with from Elimu Nursery to my high school, Form 4.
All the way. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So as I was saying, so nursery school is good, primary school is good. I was performing well in school. Then in class 6, I remember in class 6, one day, there was a time my dad was in business and he was not at home for some time. Then one day he just comes back and we all are very happy. It had been a prayer, dad amekaa sana arudi. But what we didn't know is that his coming back was because he left, his business had failed. And before that business failed, it had taken all the money we had. My mom had a shop then, and we had other businesses. My dad, I remember, used to have a matatu then. So at some point we saw our matatu was sold. We saw our mom's shop, kaduka kanaisha. So we didn't know the new business he had begun away from home. He was in Muranga. It was a sawmill business. He used up a lot of money, so he'd come get money from his other businesses, go and put it up. Apparently, long story short, he told us later when we are grown up and we are talking these things, he told us after injecting millions into a business, he remembers the only money he got out of it was 400 shillings. So one morning he wakes up, takes his clothes, akaona hii ni, it makes sense.
A waste of time.
It's a waste of time. I'm using money. I have finished my businesses at home. I am not seeing my family. So we just saw him come home one day.
So it was a blessing in disguise.
It was a blessing that he came back home. But it was also, now we knew much later, it was because things had not worked out. But now we would experience it. The following year is the first time I was sent home.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
On that, men and women, when it comes to disclosing issues, I find it that men are very secretive. A big thing can happen and a man shuts it off for months and months, even years, without telling the family like this and this happened.
True.
But here, as a woman, I am trying to accuse you of things, not knowing what you really went through. Because I don't know, is it that you don't want to air your dirty linen in public? But I mean, this is not public, it's family. Yeah. So what makes men to close that part?
It's a good question. I'd say it this way. I'm not justifying it, but men have this inherent desire to provide for their families. They have an inherent desire for admiration and respect for from their families. And so when you feel like you're failing, at times you don't want to show it at home. But it's not right because especially now, I'd say now, in the current, in the 21st century, the current family setup, you find that your wife is also making some money, is also earning.
Yeah.
And I've come to see like one of the best things you can have in a family setup is openness and honesty. Like your wife should be able to know this is working, we are doing well. And that way you won't have, you've heard of these stories where men have bought land in places, they die and their family don't know even that land.
Not reveal.
I was being told there's so much land that the government takes back because it's been there for years, nobody knows, unclaimed. Yeah, so it reduces such things. Also, when things are going down, if you have a good supporting partner and you let them know, they're able to support you. Yeah, thinking back, by the way, the reason I was saying it was a blessing my father came back is because then my mom was not okay with him being far away. And I could say, I think she didn't know much of what was happening. What she knew is that this business that my husband went to open is what has finished my business. So I think she even suspected he had another family over there, and that is why she had a big prayer that he should come back. So the story is that it is now that we know. Actually, we knew a few years ago, just on this, we are seated as grown-ups, we are talking, and he tells us, by the way, I left tractors there. We were like, and that time we had suffered. We wanted to go and collect that scrap metal and come sell it.
I should congratulate your mom though, because she stayed and kept praying for him to come back.
Yeah.
Some of us would have prayed and we move on with our lives. But she stayed, that's a lesson.
Yeah.
She stayed and waited and prayed for him and prepared herself for his coming back.
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah.
He came back.
So
but he came back empty. Went, came back without any. So from class 7, I'm experiencing, it's so fun to be sent out of school for school fees. But again, there were no, apart from now the financial crunches that we began to experience. Let me tell you how nice my life was. I remember this one day we went to church, and I was wearing my nice Reebok shoes, sport shoes, very nice white ones. And I saw this young boy with his black school shoes. And I remember asking my mom, why would this boy come to church with his school shoes?
Are you serious?
Yeah, it didn't make sense. It didn't. Babi, nilikuwa kababi. Sasa unaona huyu mtu hii viatu za shule. Viatu za shule ni za shule. But shortly afterwards, by the time I was going to high school, I knew why people go
Life beat you proper.
Yes, I knew why people go to church with school shoes.
Let me ask you, did you ever celebrate birthdays?
Yes.
You had birthdays?
Yes.
Do you know I celebrated my first birthday on my 30th?
Oh my goodness.
My first. And it's a party I threw for myself.
Yes.
That was my first birthday that I ever celebrated, and I was like, and it's something that affects us, because even when my kids were growing up, I never really valued birthdays that much. Because for me it wasn't. I started, it's them who kept pushing me and reminding me, Mom, birthday yangu imekaribia, and I'm like, oh sawa. And then it affects us. And the values we place in our children is what we were given.
Yes.
It's like a baton that was passed. So looking at your life, and you're being surprised that someone else is coming in with school shoes
to church.
And I'm like, okay, at some point, because I remember when I went back to my primary school, the one that was a day school for just a term, we had shoes on because we were in boarding school. But then the kids there didn't have shoes, most of them.
Wow.
In fact, wengine walikuwa navaa, the best they could do is rubber shoes. And we were hated on because we had good shoes on. We were also hated on because we had a television at home. And some teachers would say, tunafunza watoto wengine tabia mbaya kwa sababu sisi tunaonanga TV. And we would even be beaten
in school.
Serious?
Yes,
Because you had a TV.
Ikifika siku ya reso watoto wanakusanyika kwetu usiku. They are watching reso. And now it became a habit, and now in school that was a problem. Nyinyi ndo mnaharibu watoto wengine.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a difference. People are going through different.
It's amazing how.
It's amazing.
But see the story, like here we are together living almost similar lives. It just goes to show that what you go through in life or the path you take does not define you. In the end, it's how you craft your life.
Exactly.
In the end, it's the decisions you make. You see,
and the choices.
And the choices. I remember there is a friend of mine who used to, at times the way we insist as parents, I know it's a good thing, and we want our children to go to these wonderful schools, and it's very good, and it's even my desire. My son is in grade 6 now, and when he gets to, now the system has changed, so he's going to be the same school for the next 3 years, but when he's going to senior high, I would like for him to go to a good school, you know, but it is not that school. I just want it to come out clearly that it is not alliance
that shapes you.
In the end, it's the decisions that a person makes as they grow. It's even better when this person discovers who they are on their own, which is what we're going to be talking about a lot in this show.
I think our lives have been shaped by our journeys.
Yes.
And the experiences that we've gone through. And we have made mistakes here and there, and the mistakes are the things that we have embraced to take us into the lessons. And now we are making different choices and different decisions because we have experienced. So
here I am. I did class 8, finished well. Went to the Menengai High School. Please don't forget the
Menengai of Nakuru
High School. Yes. It was a good time. But again, I remember I was this not very noisy young man.
You were not cheeky in school.
I was not really cheeky. I remember in high school I was only caned. In our school it was a big thing, kupigwa viboko. In our high school mimi nilichapwa twice in my high school life, na zote mbili ilikuwa tu noise making, I think. So I was not this bad boy, but I remember recently we had a discussion with a group of men that we usually meet, and we were talking about the statistics of children who remain committed to a Christian life without having fathers. We were seeing 72%, that's the statistic. 72% of children who see both parents in church remain in church. 55% of children who see their fathers in church remain in church. 15% of those who see their mother in church remain in church.
Why is that?
So it just goes to show the impact of the father at home, and especially the impact of what he does. And so I remember telling my friends, because my friends, like most of them, had this story of, oh my goodness, I've never seen my dad in church. My dad was this Christmas guy, you know, and I was like one of the very few who have seen my parents in church. Earlier in Catholic church, they are the ones who took us. I went through like all the things people go through in Catholic church, up to Kipaimara, confirmation.
What is Kipaimara?
Kipaimara is confirmation. They're usually these sacraments that you go through. But then they moved again to a Pentecostal church. I've seen them in church all my life, and now they are pastors.
Wow.
Yes, my dad is a pastor.
You're actually a son of
I'm a PK. They're called PK. They're a pastor's kid.
Nice.
Yeah. So I really thank God for them. My father especially, he has really, they have both, because I have also, even as I grew, I saw them go through tough moments, but they stuck it out. Something as we're going to be sharing later, even I was not able to do. They stuck it out, and I really thank God for them. I don't take it for granted that they are still there. I still see them. I'm still able to get advice from them.
That's a privilege.
It is a privilege that because I have friends and I see people, like most of my friends don't have their parents, don't have either one
or two.
Yeah. So that I see them, that I'm still able to talk with them, that they are still having an impact in my life, is something I don't take for granted.
What would you tell people who don't, there are people who don't visit their parents that frequently, and we shouldn't take it for granted. As much as my parents happened the way they happened, at some point in life I realized the importance of having them, and me giving back to them what they could not give to me. And I remember I stuck with my mom later on in her later years, and it's a blessing to have them. What would you tell people who have both their parents or even one? Like, how should they live with them?
Wow. I think I'll share this and then you will tell them from your perspective of someone who doesn't have.
Okay.
But I would say there is a point of my life where I was so busy. I was so busy that I was not talking to my parents that much. I wasn't calling a lot, I wasn't visiting a lot, because I was very busy with work, with service, and my father laughs at me now saying I was building my own small kingdom. But I remember there is a part of my life where everything came crashing down.
Okay.
And that is when I knew the value of parents.
Wow.
When everything, at some point of my life, I lost everything, and I mean everything. And when everything came crashing down, my dad used to be okay. I'm not calling a lot. We would chat, maybe even once in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Hello, you're doing okay? Okay, that's good.
Wow.
But the day everything came crumbling down, he used to call me every day.
It's a support system.
Yes. And that is when I realized, oh my goodness, these have been my people all along.
Yeah.
I had almost forgotten. My dad, my siblings, they are the ones who came through, because I used to wake up, I don't know where the next meal will come from. They are the ones who would ask, how are you? Unakula nini leo?
I admire that.
Imagine.
Wow.
So now I am very deliberate. Now even when I call my dad, or when he calls me, and it's been like almost a week na hatujaongea, we usually start with pole sana hatujaongea hii wiki tumenyamaza. And now I think I would tell someone, if your parents are there, love on them, visit them, take care of them. It's not even about what we take them. For my parents, it's not about what I take them, because I've seen every time they just see me, they are so happy. Every time they see my son, they are so happy.
The presence.
Just the presence. Every time they get a call, they always say, thank you so much for remembering us, thank you for calling us. If they are there, love on them, take care of them.
True.
So you tell us from the perspective of someone who has lost them, and then maybe you can take us to that journey after high school.
Okay.
And there's something you mentioned, that Lee, your first son, your son is 19, and my son is 12. And for the records, she's just a few months older than me. So I want to know how come. What where did I delay? Have you ever kissed a girl? Kwanza ni dem aliuliza. Sijui alikuwa anatakaje. Hey, mimi, by the way, that is how I remember. I had never.
Wow.
As I turned 18, I had not kissed a girl. So I'm remembering, at 18 I was still a child. I had not even got to college yet. I had not...
and so was I.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
But here you are, becoming a